I'm Dave, and this is Austin Eats.
Today I'm going to show you a great way to cook a perfect tri-tip, and I'm doing it all inside my Kamado Joe. This beautiful tri-tip is the result of a method that completely changes the game. First, I'm cooking it low and slow to make it tender. Then I'm searing it at 600 degrees Fahrenheit in beef tallow on cast iron. The result is an incredibly juicy, flavorful tri-tip. I'll walk you through every single step from prepping the meat to that final slice so you can get that perfect result just like this every time. Let's get cooking. All right, here it is, the tri-tip roast. It's a fantastic cut from the bottom sirloin that's packed with beefy flavor, and it's naturally pretty lean. Now that leanness is exactly why it can be tricky. Cook it too fast or too hot and it can become tough. The problem was never the tri-tip. It was the old school method we were using to cook it. First up, a little trimming. A tri-tip will probably have a fat cap on one side and maybe some silver skin on the other. Take a sharp knife and carefully work off that silver skin because unlike fat, it will never break down. It's tough and chewy and it has to go. Now about that fat cap, you want to trim it down to about 1/4 of an inch. That thin layer of fat will protect the meat during the cooking process, basting it gently. But if you leave too much, it won't render completely and you'll just be chewing on it later. Now for the most important part of preparing a tri-tip, understanding the grain. This muscle grain runs in 2 different directions. About 2/3 of it runs one way and the rest shifts almost 90 degrees. If you don't pay attention here, you could end up slicing with the grain instead of against it. And that will leave a perfectly cooked tri-tip seem tough. The trick, before you even season it, take a close look and make a note of where that grain changes direction. I like to cut a notch at the point where the grain shifts. With our tri-tip all trimmed up, it's time to put down some flavor. In California, you'll often see a tri-tip marinated in all kinds of seasonings, but I like to keep things simple. Today I'm using some Montreal steak seasoning. That's it. Apply it liberally. This is a thick cut of meat and a bold crust will enhance the flavor and texture of the roast. I'll season it on all sides, even the edges, and then I'll let it sit while I get the grill ready. This is where the reverse sear gets its name. Instead of blasting the roast with heat right away, we're going to let it start low and slow and bring it up to temperature gently. I've got my Kamado Joe set up for indirect heat at 250 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm using my fireboard device to control the ambient temperature inside the Kamado Joe and monitor the internal temperature of the roast. Watch my video on why you need a fireboard for low and slow cooking in a Kamado Joe. So why do it this way? Well, because the muscle fibers tighten up when they're exposed to high heat right off the bat. That's what squeezes out juices and makes lean cuts tough. By easing the tri-tip up slowly, you keep all of those juices where they belong, inside the meat. The end result is a roast that is very tender. I'm going to pull this off the grill at 110 degrees. It won't be done yet, but that's exactly the point. This is just the first stage. While the roast is resting, I will reconfigure my Kamado Joe for direct heat and insert the Half Moon cast iron griddle. I pulled out the temperature probe that was measuring the ambient temperature. My fireboard now thinks that the temperature is falling and it has the fan cranked to 100%. That means I'm going to move a lot of air over the coals and this will get up to 600 degrees within about 7 or 8 minutes. I want intense direct heat for this last step. When the cast iron griddle hits 600 degrees Fahrenheit, we're ready to sear. And now for the secret weapon, beef tallow. If you've never cooked with it before, think of it like the liquid gold of beef cooking. Beef tallow is rendered beef fat and it adds this incredible depth of flavor while also helping you get that gorgeous crust. It's like beefy tasting butter. That's creating a great crust, adding texture, and boosting flavor in a way you just can't get without it. After 60 to 90 seconds, flip it over and add a little more beef tallow on the seared side. Okay, we're done searing, but don't slice it yet. Because of the long muscle fibers in a tri-tip, it needs to rest again. If I cut it right now, those juices will just run out all over my cutting board. I'm going to give it another 8 minutes for those juices to redistribute. Now remember how we talked about the grain earlier? That's where the notch pays off. I'm slicing the tri-tip at a 45-degree angle across the grain in both grain patterns. That means the entire roast will be nice and tender. I'm cutting 1/4 inch slices. Cut it this way and every single bite will be nice and juicy. Just look at that. Juicy, perfectly pink all the way through, with a crust that's absolutely loaded with flavor. There you have it. The tri-tip reverse seared in beef tallow. A method that's not just better, it's pretty foolproof. Give this a try and you'll make the most delicious and tender tri-tip you've ever tasted. By the way, I have a new cookbook out. Click on the link in the description to check it out. Hey, if you liked the video, let me know, and please subscribe. I've got plenty more barbecue and grilling videos coming, and you don't want to miss them. I'll see you next time on Austin Eats.